Welcome, tender-hearted dreamers who still trust a penned sentence and the quiet miracle of a thoughtful deed. Welcome back to your secret refuge, the one corner of the digital sky where gossip trades glitter for feeling. You are on Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Today, take a deep breath, ease the rush of the day, and let yourself be carried into a realm of soft light and unguarded hearts. If you caught the title, you already sense we're about to graze the most delicate strings of your spirit. We're here for them, the figures who populate our daydreams, Çağatay Ulusoy and Hzal. Not for work schedules, not for business flights. For art. For vulnerability. For a dedication that feels like it will echo for a very long time. Get ready to witness a gesture of love and reverence that left everyone smiling, and yes, a few of us blinking away a tear. Before we sink into this living stanza, I ask for a small but vital ritual. Subscribe to the channel, tap the bell so you catch every heartbeat of this story, and, if you wish to support our storytelling and unlock exclusive content that only this community will cradle, press the subscribe button with conviction. Your support is our ink. A like is a tender stroke, a comment is your voice joining the chorus. Are you ready to read between the lines of love? Settle in. Let's begin. Dear friends of Turkish Spotlight Secrets, the era we inhabit is loud and rapid, dominated by instant replies, icons standing in for words, bonds that flare and fade like paper lamps. In that whirlwind, when something sincere appears, something both old and modern, the world pauses and listens. We all know, or think we know, the rare electricity between Çağatay Ulusoy and Hzal. We've seen it spark on set and swell into a phenomenon that traveled far beyond any single series. And those of us who pay attention suspect that away from the lenses, that current is even richer, quieter, deeper. Their closeness has fueled countless headlines, studied up close and at a distance, admired for the way they seem to lift one another, like twin beams holding the same roof against the wind. But what happened now moves beyond rumor, beyond the casual churn of speculation. Çağatay, the magnetic actor whose calm smile and layered performances have found their way into millions of homes, made a gesture witnesses called deeply moving. He dedicated a poem to Hzal. Pause there. Not a gemstone, not designer leather, not a splashy getaway framed for the grid. A poem. A piece of language that captures, in its spare light, the shape of what he feels for her. A public, yet intimate, tribute to the woman who, if you read what we're reading, holds the keys to the quiet rooms of his inner world. This is not one more trinket to tuck into a drawer of celebrity trivia. It's a small work of art, and an act of tenderness. It reminds us that even in the heavy noise of fame, something gentle can grow, and it can be named with modest, beautiful words. The poem, whose spirit and key lines we'll explore, and especially its impact on Hzal, sent a tremor through social media. Fans became translators of love, sharing fragments, circling each phrase, trying to feel the current that Çağatay set pulsing through his verse. It's important to remember that both are artists in the most complete sense. Beyond his screen craft, Çağatay carries a sensitive compass. When he chooses, he speaks with gestures that refuse the ordinary. Hzal, in turn, is a gifted actress who moves people not only with her roles, but with a generosity of spirit that fills a room. She is quick to laugh, fierce when it matters, and effortlessly warm. Two creative souls, tuned to the same frequency, make a connection that feels inevitable and dazzling. They understand the language of art, and each other. From what we've gathered through beams of information filtering in, his poem isn't long, baroque, or tangled. It isn't an exercise in showing off. It has the clean strength of short stanzas. Small but resonant, like pebbles plinking a still lake and widening into circles you can't unsee. The theme, they say, is light. Not stage light, not flashbulbs. The inner light Hzal carries, the one that brightens gray, that opens windows in stubborn weather. It speaks of her smile, familiar to us all, rendered as the sun that turns morning into day for him. And it holds a respectful admiration for her courage and beauty, beauty understood not as surface, but as a trait of the soul. Picture the moment, Çağatay, between takes or in a quiet corner at home, struck by a ripple of inspiration. Pen meeting paper, or perhaps a note app lending modern grace to an old ritual, as he writes while thinking of her. Not chasing applause, not angling for engagement. For her. These small choices make a bond stand out in this industry. They turn a famous couple into two real people we can recognize, even from our distance. And then, the pivot that set the timelines pulsing, Hzal's reaction. The images and clips passing from hand to hand show her receiving this dedication. The way she reacts is simple and devastatingly sincere. She looks moved, as if something inside her has been met. The smile that rises is not the posed one we've all memorized, it's that true brightness that starts in the eyes, part wonder, part gratitude. In several frames, you can see the shimmer of tears, the kind forged by joy that's too intense to sit quietly, by feeling that demands a shape. There's a moment when she brings her hand to her chest, instinctively, as if to steady a heartbeat. You can almost hear the whisper, "You've reached the center of me." This reciprocity, this visible current passing between them, has drawn fans closer still. It isn't a one-sided flourish from a man in love. It's an exchange, love and regard meeting their mirror. Her response is not the polite surprise reserved for a token gift. It's the answer of someone who feels seen, valued for her essence, welcomed for her entirety. We listen to the chorus online, the comments, the breathless threads, because the public's voice is part of this music. Over and over, people say this: the poem and Hzal's response are proof that what ties them together sits on steady ground. I'm undone by them. They're the couple of light. He's a romantic from another era. She's luminous in a way that comes from within. The sentiment repeats, reshaped in 1,000 tongues. Let's linger on what this means, because it deserves more than a quick scroll. In a culture where surface often outruns substance, where love can be packaged and priced, it's almost radical that someone like Çağatay pauses to say what he feels in a way that's both artistic and unguarded. It reveals, gently, that behind rolls and glossy frames are people with real weather in their chests, capable of loving and naming that love with care. He didn't hide the soft edge of himself. And Hzal, answering with emotion, completes the circle, giving his words a home. There's more here, about the power of communication in the hardest kind of relationship, one lived under lights. A poem, or any public dedication, can say what the day-to-day sometimes can't carry, especially when your every move is watched. In this language, he told her, "I love you. I admire you. I see you." And he said it in a way that reflects who he is and who she is. Precise, artful, honest. Of course, the drama of it all draws us closer. People love following their favorites, and when the chapters include romance, risk, and gestures this tender, the bond between watchers and watched tightens. It's like a live series without scripts, only hearts making choices in real time. We've glimpsed alleged lines from the poem, not grand or intricate, but stark in their clarity. There's the idea that Hzal's laugh can scatter clouds over a bad day, that her quiet presence can steel him against whatever comes. These seem like little things, but they tell a story of attention, of two people who have learned each other's shape. Only someone who loves you notices how your laugh changes the weather of a room. And watch Hzal's eyes as she listens. You can find stars there if you're patient. The smile that follows doesn't sit on her face, it blooms from it. In moments like these, captured and shared, they become co-authors of their public narrative. This poem is not a trinket, it's a marker in their timeline, a chapter fans will revisit and parse for a long time. Her response is its echo, proof that the road between them is two-way and well-traveled. For anyone who's followed them closely, this feels like confirmation, the bond holds, breathes, expands. It's a reminder that inside the noise and hustle, there is room for gestures that are small and true. And really, who among us keeps dry eyes at a heartfelt poem and a reply as pure as that? Who wouldn't want to be described in simple, luminous lines by the person we love most? Tell me, dear friends, how would you feel standing in Hzal's place? And if someone were to write you a single line, what would you hope to read? Leave it in the comments, let us glimpse your romantic selves. As we close this tender chapter, let's reflect on how rare and precious it is to be loved by someone who truly sees you, someone who can translate your being into words that fit. Çağatay and Hzal gave us a moment of truth in a world that often runs on fiction. In short, we've walked through the poem that Çağatay Ulusoy dedicated to Hazal Kaya, and, even more, we've witnessed her shining answer to that gift. We've watched how the subtle pieces of their relationship captivated their followers, and how the authenticity of their feeling emerged in an artistic, stirring way. The fairy tale continues, and we'll be here to trace each line as it's written. If this warmed your heart, leave a like and share it with anyone who still believes in love's quiet power. Don't forget to subscribe to the Turkish Spotlight Secrets channel, and please consider becoming a supporter so we can carry you even closer to the stars. Thank you for joining us in this poetic drift. We'll meet again in the next video, where Turkish love stories don't end, they open. See you soon.